All right, welcome into the next edition of the Vegas Squares Snippets. During this snippet, we will be talking about Josh Hader and how he's had a pretty awful 24 hours at this point. With me, I have Tony Johnson. I have Token Tony in the studio, and Chris Moondog Moon. Moondog, I'm going to let you take the first swipe at this and give us your take on your thoughts on Josh Hader's 7-year-old tweets that what's the word I'm looking for? Conveniently surfaced at this time.
Well, I mean, it's pretty tragic, and it's really tragic for the people who go and just dig up this stuff.
Tragic. What do you mean by the word tragic?
Well, I mean, come on.
That's a hell of a. I'm not just saying that's a hell of a word.
Well, all right. Maybe that's not the right adjective to use. It's pretty.
When you say tragic, do you mean Hader? What he said was tragic, or the people who actually go and
both sides?
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
What he said, you just don't say that, especially if you're thinking that. You don't put that out on social media.
Sure, I agree with that.
Even if you're 17 years old, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
Thankfully, when I was 17 years old, and I'm pretty sure everybody sitting in this room was 17 years old, we didn't have an outlet on what was the internet. I don't think the internet existed for. Did the internet exist when you were 17?
It did, yes, but I mean, it was still
not in its form today.
It was like dial-up. It was infancy. That would have been.
I'm trying to think. 17 was
early 2000s. So yeah, I mean, it was there, but it wasn't like significant role in our lives.
Right, but there wasn't an outlet other than AOL Instant Messenger where we would have something that you could actually, what do you call it, screenshot. I think the worst thing was, I don't know, for me when I was in school, three-way calling was definitely the kryptonite for me. When you'd be talking, you and I would be talking, he'd be sitting there in the hide.
The party line.
If I wanted to get some information out of you, I just put him on the other line, and if you two were beefing, you remember that, or is that
no?
Just me?
I mean, maybe that was just your own deal, but I didn't do a whole lot of that. But I was.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I know what you're
talking about. Maybe because we're in the same. Anyways, point being,
you guys are babies. That's why.
Yeah, whatever. All right, old guy who didn't know what the internet was at 17.
My age is written.
Hey, I invented the internet.
My question is I understand the internet's undefeated and it always wins, but isn't this? It's really sad. I think is really not tragic. But
not tragic.
It's just very sad that somebody comes. Those tweets weren't found last night. I'm 100%. I'm 100%.
Of course not.
Positive of that. So instead of releasing them when you found them, you waited until.
You wait until his.
Was this the opportunity
career?
The All-Star game?
It's the highlight of his career. He's on national TV, and you're going to embarrass the kid.
Yeah, I mean his teammates in the dugout were reading these tweets
exactly
while he was on the mound. He gave up that bomb. Whether he struck out the side or gave up the bomb, his teammates were in the dugout reading these and looking at him. I mean, that can't be a good feeling, especially when you don't know what they're looking at you about. Because most people or most players in the dugout aren't paying attention to the game probably at all because it doesn't mean anything at this point. But when they're all looking at you, you know something's wrong. But I mean,
well, his family, they were all wearing his jersey, and once it came out, an usher came over or whatever major league executives came over and gave them
blank
jerseys.
Yeah, and
they took them off, because they didn't want to get the backlash from other people in the in that area. It's just really sad where all the mudslinging goes between you're putting yourself out there, saying the wrong things, and then people just going after it. They're taking an opportunity to hit you at your lowest point.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak with virtual certainty, but I'm sure that somebody wanted to go back on my Facebook or Twitter, they could find something wildly inappropriate. But I'm not pitching in the All-Star game. The thing is, now in my life, I'm a little bit older than Josh Hader, and when I put something out there, I actually tend to read it 2 or 3 times before I decide to push that send button. Herm Edwards taught me a thing or two. Don't press send.
Jeez.
But
taking advice from Herman Edwards, that's a rough path, though. Just be careful with that.
No, I mean, I play to win the game.
Okay.
Anyways, you don't strike me, Tony, as much of a social media guy.
That is correct.
So, as a guy who really has no ever business in your own personal world to be on social media, what do you take of this?
I find the whole thing very strange and odd for the most part. despite it being sort of my type of generation that really is enthralled with this type of stuff. And one of the things I think I've not liked about it or shied away from it is because of the potential of things exactly like this to happen, where you say something that you were, that who knows, I don't know anything about this guy, by the way. I have no idea who this guy is. I know nothing. He might actually feel this way, but it seems probably pretty likely that he was just significantly younger and he was just saying things to say stuff and what have you. I don't know. I'm not going to pass any judgment, yay or nay, on that side. But again, you can say and do things now that clearly are, as you said, the internet never loses and never lies. When it's there, it is completely, it's there and it's there forever.
Right.
And you just have no recourse. So these types of social media type of outlets where you have zero recourse if you click the send button is just not a path I ever want to go down. That's the main reason why I stay away from stuff like that, because I just have the fear of something like this coming back or somebody saying there's just not a lot of winning. And if you have now again, his job is probably going to be safe if he's a good enough player. Unfortunately, that's the way we live. If he can pitch the ball and get people out on a consistent basis, he's always going to have a job. But there are other people that if their job might rely on something where if you're seen in the public eye saying or doing something, and you may have said it if you were drunk or whatever, and you may not actually believe it, you could still lose your job and your livelihood. And it's a thing I just generally fear.
Right. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think, a lot of people are, this country is pretty polarizing as it is right now. 50% sit on one side, 50% sit on the other side of almost every issue, not just politically or religiously or anything. But, in a situation like this, people say, I still don't know if I've made a decision. People say technology has been great, the advancement of technology, and there's people that say technology can only hurt us because now everyone has a voice and has an opinion, and that doesn't always necessarily mean a positive thing. So, Token, I know you've just gotten recently into Twitter, and you're on Facebook, but you're not, incredibly active, like Tony Johnson over here. What are your thoughts on, do you think that Twitter and these other social media sites where it gives everyone a voice, is that a positive thing or a negative thing?
It could be positive as long as it's used in a positive message.
Right. Facebook and not just people's status updates, but Facebook, you connect with people. I connect with people who live, back in my hometown, or people, I don't see on a daily basis. But at the same time, a lot of these companies have very strict social media policies. If you work for them, that the smallest thing that can create any kind of bad light,
could get you to lose your job. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are at your job, because look at I can't think of anybody off the bat. What's his name?
John Rocker.
Yeah, that was before Twitter.
We'll go way back.
Okay,
that is back there.
Okay, pre-Twitter era.
That dude was crazy.
John Rocker was off his rocker.
Off his rocker.
Totally crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, he was a guy who, when he said the things he said, he was kind of almost plateauing at that point, heading toward the down end of his career. And he stayed around the league for a little bit longer, but once your performance goes below, and that's the thing. So right now, Hader's pitching out of his mind. He's clearly an all-star because that's when the tweets surfaced themselves during his stint on the mound during the All-Star game, like you said, Chris, on national television. Let's look at the tweets specifically. I don't want to quote them because there are some negative words that I don't want to. What's that look for?
Trying to figure out your damn chair here. It's like going up, going down.
It's because you're sitting on the buttons.
Right, okay.
He lost his rocker a little.
He's off his John Rocker. I look at some of these tweets, and yes, they're pretty, the I hate gay people, the white power, the KKK. You and I both read this one, the suck my cock, I'll murder your family.
That's just,
it's tough. A 17-year-old kid.
It's hard to take it seriously.
An immature 17-year-old kid. If this guy said it 2 weeks ago, he's probably 80% out of a job, 20% keeping it, no matter how good he is on the mound. He's a relief pitcher. Let's not get that twisted. He is an all-star, but he's a relief pitcher.
Right. He's a left-handed reliever, man. He's
he's going to have a job, is what you're saying.
But the thing is
he throws 95, 96. He's left-handed. Yeah.
I understand
he's
that.
free of his own.
But in the last 24 24 hours since, or not even 24 hours, in the time since these tweets have surfaced, they have dug up a tweet about Mike Trout saying, hey, dude, you're so gay. They've dug up tweets from other athletes. Now, Mike Trout's never going to be in fear with that tweet of losing his job. He's the best player in baseball. But like you said, it's Ray Rice. Ray Rice beat a woman and pretty much was at the end of his career. He was out. Greg Hardy beat a woman, still had something left in the tank. He got another couple years to stay in the league. You're right. Does your talent... It's the same reason that T.O. could probably play a football game right now, but all of his antics is probably what's keeping him off the field.
What, isn't he like 40-something?
Yeah, but I mean, he's in
play.
He can't play.
I think he could play a football game right now. He's potentially going to go play in the CFL, which I understand is not the NFL. But
I disagree. I don't think he can play.
No,
we'll have to make a prop bet on that if he goes to the CFL. We'll talk about that another time. My point being is that obviously nothing ever dies on the internet, but people are saying R.I.P. to Josh Hader's career. Is it Josh? Yeah, Josh Hader's career, which clearly they're going to be incorrect because it looks like he's not even going to be suspended for this. He's just going to sensitivity training.
Okay.
It seems to me that the tweets I read are from outraged straight white males, not the actual people who are offended. I'm not kidding. I mean,
what?
Okay.
Do you know these people?
No, but the guy from the big lead.
How do we know they're straight? That's such a weird thing to say.
Well, okay, fair enough. I'm going to imply that they're straight white males. They're white males. I can confirm that.
Fair enough.
Kevin Jenkins, based on his Twitter pictures, he's a white male who's 95% sure he's straight.
Okay.
Is he from Saskatoon?
But why is this guy more outraged than anyone else?
Because he's just a guy with a keyboard that has nothing to do.
That's my point.
Who cares?
He's living in his mom's basement. I mean, come on, man.
But that's the thing. Who does care? Why is this all over Fox Sports? What is this? FoxSports.com?
Because it's Wednesday. There's no sports.
There's no sports on today at all. You can watch a WNBA game, but that's about it.
And that's what I'm gonna do.
Oh boy.
It's going to
Well,
You gotta bet it. You got to bet it too.
Kawhi got traded today. I mean, I figured that would be a little bit more exhaustive on the.
Yikes.
Okay, so if this was a more busier sports day, say these came out during the World Series, that's probably and Hader wasn't in it. Is it a little less relevant?
It would be more of a footnote, I believe. Yes.
Yes.
I do think it would be.
Okay, so whoever decided to leak these picked a damn good time.
Right. This was as Chris
he's
pointed
pitching,
out.
he's on
as
the,
you
on
said,
the mound.
it was specifically done at this specific time. That's exactly it.
Yeah, when he's got national spotlight.
And the worst part was he got shelled. I wish he would have struck
got
out the side at
rocked.
least. Yeah, he got rocked. Okay, well, so it sounds like you guys are all on the same page. It was a slow news day. You don't really care.
It's just, I would care if it was, as you said, more recent and it didn't have the feel. Just reading them, it feels like it's just a young guy just saying whatever he thinks that he can just say, and he's not thinking about the consequences.
Right. I mean, I think we all agree on this. So why is there an unnecessary outrage? Other than the fact that everybody has a keyboard at that point.
That's, I believe.
Do you believe that's
that
what,
is the reason.
Everybody has a keyboard.
People just want to outrage about things because they just want to, because they're in the basement. So, yes.
Yep.
That's it.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then we'll wrap it up on that. Some dumbass with a keyboard's fake outrage. That seems to be the. I mean,
that's where I stand. And I mean, there's certainly an opinionated topic, but
well, that's exactly what I thought. But I actually, not to be honest with you, I thought you guys would have different opinions on it. So, when you agree with me, it makes for a very strange podcast.
Can you say?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I didn't care about it. I thought maybe somebody else would. So, wrong again. All right. Well, we will sign off with that.